Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Untitled Artwork. In this episode, we interview Emily MARROCCO, who is an artist from Melbourne, Australia, who has recently took the art world by storm.
And there was an email from New Balance's PR agent, and I just looked at it and I thought, nah, this isn't real. Like, this is a scam. I was like, this is fake. Someone's messing with me. Like, New Balance does not want to work with me.
I got a message yesterday of somebody
OnlyFans
asking me if I had an OnlyFans, to which I replied, yes, here's the link.
When I was younger, like, there wasn't like iPads or anything.
In the 90s.
Yeah, you don't really
have seen what it's like when I was a kid.
It was it was a chisel and stone. So Emily, welcome to Untitled Artwork. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and telling everybody who you are and where they can find you online.
Mm-hmm. So my name's Emily MARROCCO. I am an artist from Melbourne, Australia, and I pretty much just do a lot of football artwork, all oil paintings. And you can find me on my Instagram. It's just at Emily MARROCCO Art, and then Twitter, I'm at Emily MARROCCO _.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we'll include a link to all of those down below. And if you have a separate Instagram page for your dog, also please let people know.
Yeah, for sure.
We actually started her off with saying Happy Australia Day.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were meant to record last week.
Oh.
But it got cancelled.
No, even though that you didn't, because it's not something that, like, it's so controversial here.
Oh, really?
Is it?
How come?
Yeah,
interesting.
Because of obviously when Australia was founded, there was originally like our Indigenous people here. So technically, like, the Australia Day is like the day that, I don't think it's the exact day they invaded, but it's pretty much that day. And like, our history with our Indigenous people is absolutely shocking. Like, the fact that we even still have Australia Day on that day, and there's like a massive debate around whether or not, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Whether
it's
or not
okay.
She doesn't usually bark. Hopefully she doesn't.
She's just seen Callie on the screen.
So yeah, there's like this huge debate around whether or not we should change the date. When, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know much about what happened, because they don't even teach us these things in school. Like, they completely just like try and like hide essentially what like our history is like, and it's really bad. Like, I even struggle to explain it to people, because like we know about like the Indigenous people and our Aboriginal culture, but they don't tell us exactly what happened. I know there was like, not even that long ago, like, it would have been like, I don't know if it was the 60s or even the 70s maybe, but there was like the stolen generation, and what they were doing was they were stealing like the Aboriginal children from their parents, and then they were essentially like, it's shocking. Sorry to start off with such a dark topic.
It's okay.
But
interesting.
That's cool. We can sell this to the Discovery Channel.
They really, like, shockingly, like, would literally kidnap these Aboriginal children from their parents, and then they would breed them with white families to try and breed out. Like,
hell. Oh my God.
That is...
it's shocking. And it was only I think in maybe like 7 years ago or so that our government actually apologized to our First Nations. Like, yeah, they it's really bad. So we don't really celebrate, like, you kind of people that celebrate are looked down upon, and it's still like a huge controversial thing, because like I had this conversation with a friend. She's like one of my good friends, and I was just sitting there like trying to talk to her about, she just couldn't understand why we should change the date. And I was like, why wouldn't we? Like, it doesn't affect you, it doesn't affect me, like, it doesn't affect literally anyone. Like, imagine, she's Italian like me, and I was like, okay, imagine when the French invaded Italy, they were successful, and then they like killed our entire families, and then we had like Italy Day on the day that France did that. Like, how much pain would that bring you? Like, like, why shouldn't we change it? There's not one argument against it. So anyway, sorry about that little history lesson, but
It's okay. It's good. It's good to hear that, because one of the things that you see from this side of the world on Instagram is you see a lot of expats celebrating Australia Day, and
I saw that.
Now that you've said that, I'm thinking the Australians must hate those people doing that.
Well, I'm in a group because I'm moving to England in May.
Oh, nice.
I'm in a group for like Aussies that are moving over there, or that are already there. And a lot of people were posting in there like, oh, so, who's doing this on Australia Day? Who's doing that? Like, let's all do this. And they were posting photos of them celebrating. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like in a lot of countries now, I certainly feel it over here, being like very quite nationalist, it has like a strong tinge of racism to it. So like if it's like if you see somebody, if you're driving down the street and you see somebody with like St. George's Cross or the Union Jack outside of their house and it's not a World Cup, you're like, yeah, you're probably racist, aren't you? You probably voted UKIP at least.
That's how I feel when it's hard because I was thinking about it. I was like listening to I have this playlist of just like all classic Aussie tunes, and I was like, it's such a shame because like there are things that obviously I love about Australia, but like how can I even if we change the date, I don't think I would even celebrate, because like just it's celebrating like the history of all of that, even if the date is different. Like I don't know.
It's not really a celebration, is it? Because it's
no. What is there to be proud of?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
totally agree with you.
It's such a strange situation because, like, I personally, like, I totally agree with what you just said. Like, to me, it'd be like me as a person living in England being like, yeah, I'm bloody proud that we colonized India at one point. And like, there's nothing to be proud of there. But I also I kind of don't. I also don't agree in like with a lot of people who say that you should have this heavy burden of like ancestral guilt. Like you had nothing to do with like the colonization and the terrorization of the indigenous peoples of Australia. So like, yeah, don't celebrate it, but at the same time, like, you don't really have to beat yourself up about it. It's kind of my way of thinking about it.
I think for me, it's more so like how like the government has actually handled it.
Yeah, of course.
So that's where it comes like that. Like even if we were to change the dates, obviously it would be a positive thing if we did, and we should, and I hope they do it. But like, why did it take this long? And like again, like why did it take so long to apologize? Like, not that an apology even does anything, but like to even like acknowledge, Aboriginal people up until I don't even know if I should say Aboriginal people. I think you're meant to say like Indigenous. But it was only up until the 90s that on the census they were classed as flora and fauna. They weren't even like classified as people.
Wow, that's awful.
Yeah, that's like the shocker. Like yeah. It's horrible.
I know all too well about those types of things growing up. In the 80s, I'll tell you that much. So I can completely understand where you're coming from.
Which is a useful reminder that Karl is old.
I'm old.
I think it's sort of a good thing to talk about. You mentioned that you've got, roots in Italy.
Okay.
Did your family move to Australia long ago, or tell us a little bit about your Italian background, if that's okay?
Yeah, so both my parents are Italian. Both they both migrated to Australia, and Mum came here when she was 3. She's from Sicily, from Messina. Oh, really? And yeah, I've never been to Italy, but I have to go.
Really?
Yeah, never been, but it's on the list. And Dad's from Fondi, which is in Lazio. It's like an hour from Rome, an hour from Napoli. And he came when he was like 20 or 19. So they met here. But yeah, all of Dad's family is still over there, like pretty much I've only met like my nonna and auntie and 2 of my first cousins when I was about 8 years old. And I've got so much family over there. Like I get messages from people and I'll have to say, Mum, who is this person? They'll be like, oh, like the daughter's daughter. And I'm like, who is this, Mum? And she's like, oh yeah, like that's your cousin on, that's this person's daughter, or that's this person's son. Yeah, but they're both they're not Australian citizens either. So I had to get my passport like it was like maybe 5 years ago now, 6 years ago, and I had to go through this whole process of like proving I was an Australian citizen, even though I was born here and I had my birth certificate. Yeah, so
yeah, that's interesting that you've not been to Italy though.
Yeah, no, I've never been. I've been to.
It's pretty far.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is, and it's so expensive to fly anywhere from here.
Because it's so fucking far.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. Like my flight to the UK one way was like $1,200.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm finding it really hard not to just get into a load of questions about like your travel your travel plans now, because like that's just like an instinctual thing that when somebody says they're flying somewhere, I want to be like, so what's your route, who are you flying with? I just always want to know about the details of the flights.
It's not really podcast friendly.
You ask him stuff out.
He can direct message you about that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating for both of us.
So it must have been pretty cool for you and the family to see Italy win the Euros then.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I mean, not so much for my family. So I don't actually come from a family of like football fans or anything. So even though my dad is from there, like I had this conversation with dad about it, and I was like asking him, you know, did you, because he doesn't really watch football or anything, like doesn't really keep up with Serie A. He didn't even watch the Euros or anything. And I would ask him like, Dad, like, you know, when you were back home, like, did you go and watch football? Like, did you have a team? And he just goes, oh, like, you know, like if my friends were going to go watch it, then like I'd watch it. He was like, I'm like, he supports Juventus, but no, he doesn't really support them, you know? So I was going to, obviously, like being in Australia again, like the football, like European football is obviously on at like hectic times.
Yeah.
So I was going down with, I also don't like have a lot of mates here, like close mates that watch football. So like it can be a bit, you know, like it wasn't really up until I started painting actually that I was like connecting with people and making friends like that follow the football. But I had a couple of friends who were also Italian, and I messaged them and I was like, hey, like, would you guys be interested in like going down to the city and watching the Euros? And I thought they were going to say no, because like, obviously we'd have to wake up really early for it. It was like this whole thing, got to get there, got to get parking. But they were so down to do it. So I was really happy. We just had the best time. Like I look back at, like, honestly, whenever I look at my Italy painting, I was saying this to one of the guys that bought it, like, whenever I look at that painting, it just brings back so many good memories of like going down to the city and watching us. Like it was so much fun. And, you know, so there's like a place in Melbourne called Callaghan Street, and it's a very Italian street. Like every shop is like an Italian shop. So a lot of the cafes there and restaurants were like playing the matches. So you would go and you'd get there like an hour early, and there'd be people lined up like everywhere. Like it was so hard to get anywhere. And there was like this little square, like just an outdoor area with like this massive screen. And I don't know, some guy, like, thank God for him, like brought a projector and like just projected the game onto the screen. So this square was packed, and like I posted a few videos on Twitter, and like, yeah, people were just ripping flares. It was honestly just madness. It was so much fun. So amazing. And of course, not having qualified for the World Cup and then seeing us do so well in the Euros, it was good.
And you beat England in the final, which makes it even better.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh my God. That was crazy.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
The obvious question then though is like, firstly, I think it's crazy that your dad doesn't kind of supports Juventus considering where he's from in Italy. But so your family aren't into football. You don't really have any mates that really are into sports. You live in Australia. How did you wind up being a Liverpool fan?
So I feel like I definitely had, like, I know I had friends that do watch the football, but when I say like, I didn't really have people that I was close enough with that I could be like, yeah, let's go to this place and watch this game. You know what I mean? Like I grew up with like some of my closest girlfriends, like they played football as well. I played for a little bit. I didn't play for that long. But so it kind of like my interest in football, I guess, started a lot earlier than like actually supporting a club. Like I remember when I was a kid, my brother went to Italy for a school trip. Lucky him, because I didn't get to go. But yeah, he came back and he went to, as part of the trip, they went to San Siro, and he came back with like he brought back a Maldini kit and like a Champions League football, but he sort of never really like, I think we watched like one AC Milan match. Like I remember being like 9 years old and waking up for it, but that was about it. He kind of grew out of it. But when I was a kid, like my favorite thing to do, like me and him would just come home from school and play video games. And like, obviously we had FIFA. He kind of grew out of games, and then I got a PS3 as I got older. I had like some of the FIFAs on there. And then from there, and also like I would sometimes go to A-League matches with my cousins, and like just being, you know, it's definitely like, I'm sure not as like the atmosphere wouldn't be as crazy as like the Premier League, but like even still the atmosphere is just so good. And I just thought, okay, like that kind of made me want to start like playing football. So I just said to mum one day, like, oh, like I'd really like to start. And I thought she would have said no, because I was that kid that would come home like every week with something new that they wanted to do, like just like a different sport every week. And I was already doing a lot, but she said yes, because like we played on Sundays, so it wasn't like kind of conflicting with anything else I was doing. And then like just from like actually playing and like going to training, and like, you know, you're talking to your mates at training and they'd be talking about the football, I was like, I really want to support an English club, because like they talk about the Premier League and I just kind of felt a bit out of it. And I remember I had like one of my best friends, she was at my house. This was in high school. I think I was probably like 15 or 14. And I think maybe 15. Anyway, I said to her, like, I really want to support a club. I don't know who to support. And she just said, oh, just go for Liverpool. She had some cousins who were like massive Liverpool fans. And I was pretty much like, okay. She started showing me all these videos, like highlights. And she was showing me like, you know, like the fans singing "You Never Walk Alone" at Anfield. And I like, after just watching those videos, I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like, I guess I'm a Liverpool fan now. And yeah, ever since then, that's how it started. And like we would watch some of the games together, like on Skype and stuff. So that was nice. We just like wake up in the middle of the night, jump on Skype.
I think that's pretty much the same for all of us when you're supporting a club. It's just whoever influences you when you're younger, isn't it? It's not necessarily something like, obviously I'm from Liverpool and there's a lot more chance of me being a Liverpool fan, but
what a twist that none of us saw coming. Callie is from Liverpool. He has such a neutral accent. What are you talking about?
Is my accent easy to understand, or is it difficult?
No. It's actually a lot easier than some other. Like
I can type out what he says and send it to you if you need.
I was a bit worried, but no, it's fine. I feel like I consume so much like English content anyway that I'm so used to it now.
I've got obviously a question about sort of links into more the art side of things and also the Italy connection. Like, I know you've never been to Italy, but have you ever been to France?
Never. Oh. I've never been to Europe. I've only been to like North Africa.
Yeah. Right. The only reason I ask is because when I look at your artwork, I've been to both the Louvre in France and the Vatican in Rome, and your artwork is, first of all, it's amazing. Second of all, it's really Italian looking.
Oh, really?
Honestly, it's when you go to those places and you see it on the wall and the ceilings, like it's such like a classical Renaissance like style, and it's funny that your style is like that. Is that natural, or have you seen that type of painting and gone, I want to copy that?
That's actually the nicest compliment ever, because I love art history and I am obsessed with the Italian Renaissance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love all of that. Like, I'm constantly just looking at paintings from that period. And I don't know if I don't think it was intentional that I sort of maybe started painting and kind of wanted to replicate that, but I perhaps like maybe just having consumed so much of that and like looking at it all the time, I may have like just naturally picked up on like that style and subconsciously like done that with my artwork. But that is, thank you so much, because that is an insane compliment.
It's all right. It's just something I noticed, because I was like, I don't know, it's amazing to me how people's art styles change throughout the time that they're drawing. And I always wondered, I was like, I wonder if did you study or anything like classical art or no?
I always grew up, so like from, you know, when I was a kid, like I loved drawing. Like I feel like most kids, especially like back, you know, when I was younger, like there wasn't like iPads or anything.
In the 90s.
You don't really
see what it's like when I was a kid.
It was like it was a chisel and stone.
You know what I mean? So like, I feel like most kids like drawing, but it definitely stuck with me like as I got older. And I think it was also just one of those things that like teachers would kind of point out to my parents that like, oh, like she's, you know, you should like get her to pursue this, or like she's, you know, got this like kind of natural talent. And I always would come home from school like drawing portraits. I never painted those. Like it was just like kind of graphite pencil portraits, and I would literally like just put up a photo on the computer and just draw like every week. And then I kind of, you know, I left school, well, I finished school. That sounds like I left school. I finished school, and I got a full-time job. I went to uni for a bit. I was actually studying fashion design. That was what I wanted to do. But yeah, I didn't really like my course and I kind of wanted to travel. So I started working full-time, ended up working full-time for 5 years. And throughout that time, like just being so busy, like I never really, you know, made an effort to kind of like draw or anything, or like do any artwork. Like I had to travel like 2 hours to work, 2 hours back just because of traffic. And so I'd get home. Yeah, it was awful. I'd get home and I would just be exhausted. But, you know, I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, like I really miss like drawing, and I really wanted to get into painting because like I said, like I loved like, you know, art history, and I loved all these like beautiful oil paintings that I'd look at, and I would just think, I really want to do this, like just for fun. Like I'd love to just try it out, like just purely like to have fun while I'm doing it. Even if I like would be bad, because I put it off for so long because I was worried about like being really bad at it. But I started watching, I just learned through YouTube. There's so many good like YouTube videos, like just different tutorials on how, because my thing was more like, you know.
This is one of those good YouTube videos. We have several good YouTube videos for anybody interested. Please check out the rest of our good YouTube videos.
Professional.
Yeah.
I learned like everything I needed to know up there, because it was so daunting going from just drawing with pencils, literally just graphite pencils, no color, to like painting with color and, you know, mixing all these different shades. Like I had some knowledge of like, you know, mixing colors. I didn't do art all the way through school, but all those videos just like clarified any questions I had with oil painting and gave me the confidence to actually start. And so one day I just sort of started, and my first painting wasn't that great, but I had fun. And I just kept going. And then obviously, you know, going into lockdown helped because we were working from home. So that 4-hour commute every day was not an issue anymore.
Yeah.
And then I just had all this spare time, not being able to go out, do anything. Like I just had all this spare time to paint.
You mentioned that you were doing fashion design at uni. And I know you said that you all needed a bit of time at uni, but I just wanted to ask, because obviously fashion design typically is quite a loose style of artwork. You know, it's quite bold, it's quite minimal, you know, usually using like a lot of ink or pencil, but you know, very simple lines and then simple splashes of color. It's like, feels like the total opposite of your style of painting, which is this like opulent, like Callie said, like Caravaggio kind of style. So like what was your work like when you were studying fashion design?
Like in terms of like the fashion sketches?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, very minimal, like you said. Purely just pencil, like I'd go over them with a fine liner. But I would just, like I would draw, I would always have ideas with fashion design. So that's why they were so minimal, I think, because I was more just, my concern was, we didn't actually have to use color. I don't think, I only did a semester, so I wasn't there for long. At that point, at that first semester, I didn't have to use any color in my sketches, so they were very minimal. But my thing was more like just trying to get all my ideas out, because I would constantly like have ideas. Happens sometimes with my art too, but like I feel like you guys would probably get it too. Like, I don't know, sometimes you could just be doing anything and then like this idea like would just pop in my head. Like I could be driving and like I just like I'm not even thinking or like trying to like find ideas, but something just like pops into your head and you're like, oh, like
I've woke up from sleep with ideas.
Yeah. Usually but he does have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, they're not very good.
Like, where does this idea even come from? It's just like there. So strange.
That's one of the
You're
problems
subconsciously
I
thinking,
have
aren't you, all the time?
Yeah,
I think
it's why I struggle. Like I don't struggle, but like it's why I've always got far more unfinished projects on the go. It's like, I've got several different pieces on the go at all times, because you just go, oh no, I need to start that now or I'll lose this thread. Like if I don't act on it now, I'll lose it. And then it's kind of like circling between them. I wanted to then like ask off the back of that talk about like your fashion illustration. So obviously you post like quite a lot of process stuff on social media, and then the time lapses of the finished piece. And it looks like you don't draw anything. You just start with a blank canvas. So you do like you sketch out like the areas for shading, the figures and stuff.
Oh yeah, I get this question a lot, but the problem is, and I always try like to reply to as many people as I can. If I see comments about it, I'll reply. But I sketch very faintly because my problem was when I first started painting, some of the oil pigments that you use are a bit transparent.
Yes.
And I didn't really like, and even now, and I would like to start doing this, but I do my sketch in pencil always. I think it's just because that's what I grew up. I'm used to that. Whereas I know some people use like a little bit of like burnt umber paint, and they'll dilute it and then use that for their sketch. But that just doesn't feel as natural to me.
Yeah.
So my problem when I first started painting was that I was so like heavy-handed with the pencil that you could actually see some of the markings under like the paint. And it happened with my first Liverpool painting I did. And when I sold that, like I said to the person, like, just letting you know, like I can send you photos, but there are some pencil marks, but like you couldn't see unless you were like up close, like when you're far away, like it's fine.
Yeah.
But then that just kind of made me panic. So I started doing just like very faint sketch marks. And also so I could use mineral spirits to like rub out like any grid lines or any mistakes, because the pencil can be hard to get off the canvas as well.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm not surprised by your answer, because obviously like as we will all know from certain aspects, like the compression that happens when you upload work to social media is a nightmare, and that's only exponentially more so for any video content. So I'm not surprised that like you can't see any sketched bits on any of the things that you post, I guess. Like, so it'd be interesting then to understand a little bit more of your process, because obviously we're all predominantly digital artists. So like from start to finish, and if you can break it down kind of step by step a little bit for us, how long does one of your like large format pieces take?
Well, so I've started painting on canvas now. I paint on linen canvas now, but prior to that, I was painting on MDF panels. So I'll start with those ones. Yeah, so I mainly started with MDF because, again, like I was still kind of learning. Like when I did my Liverpool piece, that first one that I did with Trent Hendo and Robbo, there was like, I hadn't painted anything like that before, and it was actually my first like larger piece, so I didn't want to go out. Thank you.
It's so good.
It's mad to hear you say like that's the first time you used that scale.
It was so scary because, like, again, I I put off painting football for so long because I thought it was just going to be like ridiculously hard because of all the passion, and like there was just more emotion than what I was, you know, doing. I was just painting like movie related stuff or music stuff purposely because I knew that was like a safe option. Like I was purposely picking references that were like in my brain easy to paint. But yeah, so the reason I was painting on MDF was because I didn't want to invest in canvas and then have it turn out really bad, and then I spent all this. So I would go down to like a hardware store here, like we have Bunnings, and I would go there, grab like an MDF panel, and then I'd have to prime it myself. So you have to prime the board first. You can't paint straight onto the board. So you can get like, it's called gesso, and it's pretty much just like white paint. And what you have to do is, so you have to sand these boards down, and you have to do that outside because it's MDF and it like have a mask on because it's not good for you. And then you prime. So you like will just paint the whole surface like one way. So you might do like downward strokes. Then you've got to wait for that to dry, sand it, and then you do like horizontal strokes the other way to kind of give that like canvas texture.
Yeah, okay. Like that cross hatching almost.
Yeah, but because it's like on a panel, like you can make it as smooth as you want. That's actually also what I liked about it, because it kind of helps with that, the style of work that I do, like with the realism and not having that too much texture, like helps with that effect. So that process would take so long. Like I would usually spend at least one night, maybe 1 to 2 days even, like just doing that. Just because, yeah, because like you have to wait like an hour in between each layer. You've got to do about 4 layers. And also like those, especially like, you know, the Porto one that I did, the one of Van Dyke, like that panel was, both of them were 90 by 120 centimeters. So it was just like getting too much. So I switched to canvas because they come primed. So yeah, from then, once it's ready to go, then I'll do the sketch. And that probably takes like maybe 2 days. And then from the sketch, I might like have a break from, you know, have a day off, and then I'll start painting. And the painting is what obviously takes, you know, the longest. And usually they take me anywhere between 90, the painting part, I usually time it from the painting part. I probably shouldn't do that, but it takes like 90 to 150 hours depending on what I'm painting. Like the Harvey Elliott one that I did, I thought that was going to be a quick one. I actually like looked at the reference and I was like, yeah, you know what, like I'll smash this out fairly easily, and it ended up taking me so long. But then the Salah one that I did like took about 90 hours. For like 9 or 10 days. So I paint for long periods as well. Like once I've like, you know, I'm zoned into a painting, I'll just wake up, paint, and like I pretty much paint for like maybe like 12, 14 hours with breaks. But yeah.
Oh, should have a competition between you and Yoni.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a question, obviously, because your work is not digital art like ours, and I just wanted to know, is it easy to sort of cover up any mistakes if you make any mistakes when you're sort of doing the painting? Because obviously as a digital artist you can kind of just delete the line, or
mate, my most pressed button is undo.
So I just always wondered, it's undo, like, with something such on a big scale, whether it's just easy to sort of how do you cover up or fix any mistakes you might make? You do make mistakes.
Yeah, no, I feel like for me personally, it's more so when I'm painting faces, that I'll notice like something just might be a little bit off, like, or the proportions aren't quite right, or maybe I didn't get the proportions right on my sketch. And because oil paint is so slow drying, like it literally will, like I start off with shadows. So like I try and paint the darkest areas first. And then I do the highlight and blend them in together. And I find that like, because like I could paint like the shadows and they'll still be like, I can still manipulate the paint like at the end of the day, even like the next day, like it'll still be on canvas.
Wow. Okay.
So because of that, like it's not so much like erasing that I do or anything, but it's just that I can keep putting paint over something and like blend it or blend it upwards or move it around somehow, like it's hard to explain. But there have been times where I have had to just like literally just get a rag with some like mineral spirits and just get rid of a section. But again, because the oil paint is so slow drying and it stays wet, it's easy to take it off. Whereas like if you were using acrylic paint, which dries in like, you know, like minutes, that would be really hard to do. That's why I feel like people have this conception that oil painting is really hard and it's seen as like, you know, it's so hard to do. But for me, I look at people that can paint in acrylics and I'm like, oh my God, like that's insane, because I could never.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive what you do. I know that much.
Yeah,
for sure, definitely.
I was very similar. I started with charcoal and pencil stuff. I'd done that for years, and I started to do some large paintings and stuff as well, but not to the size yours were. But I found going digital it just worked for my eye and my hands so well to get details in quickly. Is that something you've considered, doing digital work?
Yeah, I have. I really want to get into it. I feel like even not even if it's like to like put artwork out there, like as digital artwork, but more so for my ideas. Like I think
just to sketch stuff up.
Yeah, it's so handy. Like I've seen, like I know a lot of art, like traditional artists that will, you know, get their ideas out on like their iPads or whatever. And I've been really wanting to do that because I just feel like it will probably elevate my work. And like I have been wanting to like expand and try out different styles. Like I love what I'm doing already. Like I really love the realism stuff as well. But like recently I posted a painting of Trent and it was so different to anything I've done. Like it was like kind of more abstract, and I had so much fun doing it because I was just like, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to do whatever, see if it works. If it looks shit, it looks shit. If it doesn't, then that's great. And just having more of that creative freedom was so fun. So yeah, I have definitely been thinking about like trying out digital art more for that reason.
Yeah. It is so much more agile when you're working. You go from spending, like it used to take me 6 or 7 hours to do a charcoal drawing.
Yeah.
I can do it in potentially 30 minutes now.
Oh, that's
and I'd never go back.
Even with that convenience of like getting your ideas out and like not having to like spend so long sketching them out and like that is so good.
I think it's always good to sort of expand your skill set as well, because it'll obviously teach you a completely different style to do it digitally and a different way of doing stuff. So I always think it's a good thing. I always try to do like a million different styles, and I mean, not that they're always good, but I just think it's always good for you to keep ticking over. So I think if you ever get a chance to sort of get yourself an iPad and try a different style, I'm sure you'd absolutely smash it. So I think it's a good idea.
I would love to. I think for me, what I struggle with right now is kind of wanting to do all these different things, but then not so much having the time for them. Because I work on one thing at a time. I work on one painting and that's it. Mainly because a lot of oil painters paint in layers. So they might just do one layer and then they wait for it to dry. And because it's so slow drying, it might take a couple of weeks. So they'll have another piece that they work on within those 2 weeks, or they work on another layer of something else that they're doing. But I paint in just one layer. And I paint in sections. So it doesn't really work for me to like have a few things on the go. So then I can kind of get a bit of tunnel vision. I'm like, okay, like I'm just working on this, but like I really want to try this thing out. Then I'm like, no, like I have to do this project next. So yeah, I need to like better like manage or like leave myself time to do, you know, more like kind of creative, just fun things, like just for the, you know, for practice or to like get better at something else.
It's really tough, isn't it? I was talking to a friend about this earlier, and I was saying like, there's so many things I want to try. I want to experiment. I want to learn new techniques, but at the same time, like, if people are paying me for my existing style, like, where do I create the time? Like, I've got commissioned work. I've got personal projects that I want to finish. Like, where do I find the time to just learn new stuff? I think it's so difficult to find that. It's almost like I have to take 2 weeks off just to like around a little bit. I think one thing I just want to ask actually, because obviously we haven't really done an intro necessarily with you yet. We will do one at the end. So for people listening to this now, you'll think that I'm being crazy, but the intro you saw we actually recorded later. But it's like, obviously, like you said, you have these pieces that you work on for like a huge number of hours and days. What's your job?
Yeah, do you actually do it full time?
Yeah, I do. I've been doing it for, sorry, I should have said that. Hey.
No, it's fine. Like I said, we've not done an intro or anything. And so I wasn't sure.
I actually haven't been very open about the fact that I quit my job and like started doing this full time. And I think that was more out of fear of like, yeah, thank you so much. So I quit my job in July. I was working full time in the logistics and freight forwarding industry. And
thrilling. That sounds
bloody
hell. I know, yeah. Get those life rights ready to sell for the movie adaptation.
Yeah, so fun. Yeah, I quit that. I quit to focus on my work. So like I think, how long was it? I think maybe a year I was juggling both. I was doing the full-time work and then my artwork. And sometimes I look back now, I'm like, how the hell did I do both? Yeah. Like I was doing the prints as well at this time. So I was painting, doing the prints, and I would paint. So I would wake up, work, I'd have a 9 a.m. meeting for work every day because we were all working remotely. So there's 9 a.m. meetings every day. Then I would finish work, usually work overtime, maybe finish at about like 6, eat dinner, and then I would paint till like 3 a.m., sometimes 4. There was one time, it was when I was working on my Virgil van Dijk painting. I didn't even realize, but I painted after work until 9 a.m. The next, I painted the whole night. And then I had to like,
wow.
Because I was like, how I cannot possibly work after like not having slept. So I had to call in sick. And yeah, it just got to a point where I was like, you know what, I feel like it was still risky at the time that I quit. I was like, I feel like I could do this full time. I wasn't selling any of my originals at that point. I wasn't actively trying to, but I kind of felt like I had garnered like an audience that would enable me to do that if I did try. And I just also was not happy. I mean, obviously, like freight wasn't my passion. So,
really?
So I just quit, and it was scary, but it was like, yeah, I obviously have no regrets. Like, so I've been doing it full time since July, and I only really started trying to like sell my original artwork. It was maybe September. It was actually when I was working on the Porto painting that I did. That kind of motivated me to be like, okay, like, because initially prior to that, it was more like I need to try and like, get these paintings out and like get more of an audience. And yeah, so
the original artwork that you've sold, do you like, have you ever sold any overseas? And if you have, is it like difficult to, how do you sort of, is it difficult to like, I can't imagine the logistics to getting something so big to send like, abroad and stuff.
She work in logistics.
Fair point.
No, so I that's actually one of the reasons that I switched to canvas as well, because it's shipping these large panels. So the first 2 paintings that I did, the first painting that I did, that went to Northern Ireland, and then the Virgil van Dijk painting, that was sold to a guy in Melbourne, and the Manet painting went to Liverpool. And the freight on that was just ridiculous because, like, obviously being on a panel, they had to ship it flat, and they also had to pack it because, like, I don't have the materials to pack it safely myself. Like, such a large painting, so it cost like $1,000 just on the freight, freight.
Yeah. That's you must have been also fearful of it getting damaged and stuff going over as well.
So scary. It's safer to ship them in tubes, like it, and it's more like just it's the most economic way to do it. Like, it just, even if you have to re-stretch the actual painting on a canvas again, by the time you pay to do that, and like you've only paid like maybe $100 on the freight versus $1,000, it's still going to be cheaper for you than just getting it sent flat. But I know some people do like prefer to send them flat just for, I don't know, maybe less stress on the painting. But it's just, wow, like even I would think, I was lucky that the people that had purchased those paintings were happy to do it, because I would even think like, if as a customer, for me personally, if I was already paying so much for a painting and then having to pay so much for this freight, I would be like, oh God, like, and I'm an artist, like, and I even still would be like, nah. That's why I switched to canvas. And also the canvas, I find anyway, just looks way better than what I was painting on. Like the paint looks a lot nicer. It's so much easier to paint on. Like it's a really, really smooth canvas. So yeah, it works out anyway.
Going back to that, the art again, you've said something that's quite interesting a few times. You've said that I didn't know whether my artwork was going to be, and I think that's something that all of us, even no matter how good you are, like you always think that at the start of a painting.
I still don't know if my artwork or not.
Yeah,
same here.
I think it's
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Oh my God, me too. I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah, like every artist sort of identifies with that to a degree. So with that in mind, when you started putting your big canvases out on social media, were you surprised by the response that you got?
Yeah, it's so weird. I still think about it, and it just, like, sometimes I'll be painting, especially now since I quit my job and like this is technically my job. I just think like I'll have these moments where I'm like, as if this is what I'm actually doing with my life, as if this is actually what I'm doing. Because again, like although I loved art growing up, and when I started painting, it was just something that I wanted to do, I never really intended on it being like, I don't think there was any time in my life where I was like, I want to be a professional artist as my job. Like, that's what I want to do. It just sort of happened. So when I did that Liverpool painting, I just did that for fun, because like we had just won the league. You know, we were in lockdown, couldn't celebrate. And I just thought, like, what am I going to do? You know, like, I've got nothing to do. And I had, like I said, I'd kind of been contemplating like doing football artwork. And I just thought, okay, like this is a perfect time to do it. And at that point, I had an Instagram page for my art, but it was pretty much just for my mates, because I was posting all this artwork on my personal page. And I just thought, no one like actually gives a shit about this. So like the people that give a shit can follow me. So yeah, it was just like, I had like maybe 100 followers. And then I did that Liverpool painting, finished it. Again, it was just for me to have, like, just for, you know, for fun, like memory of, you know, winning the league. And my mate was like, you got to post this on Twitter. And I remember saying to him, I don't use Twitter. I had 38 followers. And I remember the exact number because it was 38 followers for like 6 years. Like, it just never changed, because I like really never really used it. I wasn't on football Twitter. I actually used it when I was like going through I was like really obsessed with The Walking Dead, and I would watch like a lot of like gamers on YouTube. So I would follow them on Twitter back in the day. So I was like, there's like no point me putting this on Twitter. No one's going to see it. And he's like, trust me, just put it on Twitter. And so I did. I was like, fine, like I'll do it. And then I put it up. He retweeted it, tagged a few people, or like quote tweeted it and then tagged those people. And then I was practicing guitar. Like, I was sitting on my bed practicing guitar, and then my phone just started going off. And I was like, what the hell? Picked up my phone. It was just like all these Twitter notifications. And I was so shocked, honestly. Like, I had never experienced anything like that, like of something that you post kind of like going viral. Like, I don't want to say viral, but like it kind of did the rounds on Twitter. Yeah, it was.
Have you learned to turn your notifications off since? Because I know
my notifications are always off for Twitter. Like,
direct messages as well.
Yeah, especially messages. Even with Instagram, it just gets a lot. But yeah, no, it was definitely a massive shock. I couldn't believe, like, I honestly like couldn't believe the response. And then obviously people started following me, and they followed me on Instagram too. And I just thought, okay, well, like I had so much fun doing this. Like people like the artwork, you know, obviously why not keep going? Like before I had done that piece, I wanted to paint Virgil van Dijk. So I was like, oh, like now this is a good time to do the Van Dijk one. And then I did that. And then that one was just, it was so funny too, because I think when that first one went viral, I kind of just thought, this is like a one-off thing. Like, just like, I remember telling myself, like, just kind of like, just be aware that this is like probably never going to happen again.
It can
like
all go away.
Yeah, like it's going to die down. And, you know, it probably won't happen again with your other work. So like, just take it in, enjoy it. And like, this will be like a cool thing that you look back on and you're like, oh yeah, like that happened. So I remember when I was working on the Van Dijk painting, I just kind of thought, you know what, like just prepare yourself to like post this and it will be, you know, just chill. Like the people that saw your other artwork will probably see it and like it, and that'll be it. But then like the timing of that one was like 2 days before I finished it was when he got injured. And I just thought, like, I felt so bad posting it. Like, I was like, I've worked on this for so long and now I just feel like it's probably not a good time to post it. But then everyone was like, no, you should still post it. Like, just go ahead and do it. And then because obviously like everyone was talking, like his injury was so bad, like he was out for so long. Everyone was talking about him. I think like Sport Bible picked it up and they posted it on Instagram. And then that just kind of did like, yeah, popped off for me, like on my socials, like so many people started following me again. And then I also got so many comments of people being like, oh, like you're acting like he died. Like, why did you paint
Everton
him?
fans,
Like,
maybe.
but then I was like, the fact that like, I wish this only took me 2 days, like, and yeah, but it took me weeks. I was working full time as well when I did that one. So
I was just going to say, yeah.
it took a lot longer to get out.
Yeah.
Just going back to sort of the comments you get on your artwork and stuff. Like, how do you deal with lots of these comments that like female creators get? Because it's not always positive. Do you know what I mean?
The creepy ones. He means the creepy ones.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
How do I say it? You like that?
I feel like I have times where I'm just like, don't even, like, who gives a shit, you know, like, just, it is what it is. I hate that I have to say that, like, I'm just like, I'm sure most of us girls, like, it sucks to say, but like, you just kind of expect it and you're just used to it. But there are obviously times where I just have not handled it well. And I've had to learn to just like kind of maybe like, you know, type what I want and then just delete it and not post anything. But it's hard. It's really hard. I get really bad anxiety when I post something because I just never know. I'm like, I've spoken to mates about this. Like most of my close friends know, like, to kind of like reach out to me once I've put a piece up, because I usually after posting something, I will get like real bad anxiety. Especially, it was really bad with the Harvey Elliott one. I think it's just more like, it's not so like you guys see the comments, but it doesn't stop at comments. You get messages. And
I can only imagine.
That's when it goes to another level, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the messages, and it's, you know, sometimes I can laugh about them. Like, it's funny. I'll get, you know, you like every girl, I feel like every artist I see this, that the most common DM that you get is like, do you have OnlyFans? It's like,
Jesus Christ.
God,
Really?
Wow. That is like 0 to 100 immediately.
Yeah.
And they won't lead with anything else. It's like what they'll ask, like just straight up. And it's actually like, I get that DM a lot. And I know like, it's not just me, like a lot of my friends that are artists or just other artists that I've met, you know, through doing what I'm doing, they get the same thing. And lately it's been, what's your WhatsApp number? Can I have your WhatsApp number? What's your WhatsApp number? All the time. God. And it makes it really hard because, you know, there's so many genuine messages that I get that are so nice. And like, I want to get back to them all. But there are times where I'm just like, I can't even look at these messages right now because it just gets so frustrating. And then with like the hate, I feel like I'm pretty okay. If someone's like talking my painting, I'm just like, whatever, like, I don't care. But I've noticed like a lot of the hate is more directed at me. Like people seem to have a real issue with a girl like standing, you know, with their artwork and it's funny because when I started doing that, I was standing in the painting with my like Liverpool one, and it was just, you know, I took that photo to put on my art page that had like 100 of my mates on it. It was not something that it wasn't like this strategy. It was just more for me. The reason I kept it going was because I wanted people to see my artwork and see me and connect it back to each painting that I did. So like when people see a painting that I post, they know like, oh, like, yeah, oh, that's that girl that I saw like with the
your
Van
brand.
Dyke.
The face behind the artwork.
Yeah, but people have a problem with it, or like with what you wear. Like I remember I put the Van Dyke one up and I wore a baggy jumper and I had shorts on, but you couldn't see them because the jumper was so big. And I specifically wore this jumper because I didn't want, I didn't want to get all these comments about what I was wearing, like what happened on my first one. So like, I thought I was being like so smart. Like I was like, yeah, one step ahead of them. Like I'll wear this jumper. And I copped it. Like people lost their minds because like you couldn't see my shorts. And it was like, why is this even an issue?
Yeah, it's so bad.
So
I think that just
I can't even understand why anyone would say I can't see where it comes from, that idea. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think it's just like I've learned to accept that, like, you know, Twitter, like social media, it's just a place where like people are just going to say whatever they want to say, unfortunately, and it's going to stay that way. And with, you know, the more exposure that I get, it's going to get worse, but the positive ones are going to get better too. Like I'm going to get I'll get more positive comments and I will get more negative ones, but the positive ones are just, they make it all worth it. Like seriously, some of the messages that like when someone just takes a time to like send you a little message like, yeah, hey, like I really love your artwork, like keep going, like, you know, or like, you know, I was following you from when you posted this painting and like I've seen now that like I've just seen this one, or like I've noticed like your page has grown so much and like it's been so nice watching you. Like those messages are so nice. Like, yeah, like I said, like the fact that people like take the time to send you such a nice message, like it makes up for all the crap that you get.
I got a message yesterday of somebody
OnlyFans
asking me if I had an OnlyFans, to which I replied, yes, here's the link. No, they said like it was somebody from Hungary and they'd ordered my Liverpool title winning print and they just got it the other day, and then they sent me a picture of it and said like, you're the reason I started illustrating and like started my own shop. So like, you know, so thanks and keep it up. And that was you know, you are right that getting that is amazing. I think it's awful though that you as an incredibly talented female creator have to even like tell yourself that they make up for it. Like I genuinely want to take a second to say to like all of the other men on social media, as one of you, f*** off. Like this is terrible. It's not acceptable. Female creators owe you nothing. And you cannot just slimily slide into their messages with all of this. It's like, it really saddens me to hear the way that you talk about your interaction with social media, because even through working with these two thirst traps over here, we get none of that.
Thanks.
Like zero. Like, but I know I've got so many female friends. Like I've got female friends that are like micro influencers and female friends that are like nobodies on social media, and they all have the same experience. I don't understand what it is about like the internet and what it's done to men's minds. Maybe they've always been like this and it's just given them the opportunity to express it, but I can't fathom why anybody would ever think it was fine.
So I was just gonna say, the way you just have to say to yourself like, oh, you know, that's just the way it is, because that's so wrong, because it shouldn't be the way it is, you know. And it's kind of like it's sad that we have to do those types of things, not just this, with other bits and pieces as well in life, that you just have to say that's the way it is. But if you don't, like, how else do you deal with it? Because you know, you
Big
get, like you said,
stoic
you get hundreds of really positive comments. But for me, who's also got a lot of followers, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I always seem to bite on the negative ones, and I should just be concentrating on the positive. But it's so easily done, you know.
Yeah, it's hard because, like you said, it's not even it's not like this is just something that affects, you know, female artists or someone with a certain number of followers. I was getting this, you know, like you said, like you get it even just as a normal woman using your Instagram on your personal account, you get this as well. And you sometimes you get it like it's not even I don't know, like you can get it even like with mates that might like they just don't even realize like what they're saying, that like I don't know, they might hit you with something and you're like, oh, like come on, like. And the sad thing is that I find you know, you do get men that have respect, that try to stick up for you, and you know, they might see that someone's being a dickhead in your comments and they'll like check them on it. And then like these men are just like, oh, like she's not going to shag you. And it's like, maybe they just have like basic respect for like another human being.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It is hard because, like I said, like it won't stop. Like I know it won't stop. So
Like,
I don't know. For me, it's more just like protecting my mind, and like I can reply to, like I've definitely gone on rants where I've jumped on and like, you know, kind of make a joke out of it, like because at least then I get to have a laugh. But at the end of the day, like it is better to just like ignore them, because you don't even
you shouldn't have to do that, really, should you?
Yeah,
that anxiety is definitely bad enough when you're an artist putting stuff out. Like I was just going to mention when you said you ask your mates about whether you should post stuff or not. Like luckily what's funny is that we've had a WhatsApp group, me, Karl and Yoni, now for 5 months, and what's really funny to see is that no matter how good their art is and no matter how good my art might be at times, we use that group as a barrier before we put it out, and we say, it's this lads, or it's and like all of us saying, oh, it's and then one of us will go, no, it's not, it's boss. And it's just it's good to have that support network before you put it out.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I like kind of like, I don't know, do you know Alex? Like he does like the pencil sketches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Fan art.
AFTH fan art or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah, he's so good. And we kind of just got like kind of made mates just from, you know, both being in the space. And when I posted that Trent one that I did, that abstract one, I actually sent that to him months ago. And I was like, I was like, should I post this? I did exactly that. I was like, should I post this? I don't know. Like, I feel like it's I feel like people are going to hate it. And it was like, just post it, just do it. And I never did. But like, we're always sending each other like our artwork, just like being like, oh yeah, this is what we're working on. And like, you know, if I'm like in the middle of something, for example, like I'll send it to people and just be like, does it look like them? Like I'm looking at it and I feel like it doesn't look like them. And it's because like you fixate on it, you know, you're staring at it for so long.
So many
like,
hours.
Yeah, but then like, you know, Alex would sometimes send me something and be like, oh yeah, like does it look like them? And he's like, oh, I feel like it doesn't, maybe like this part doesn't look good. But I'm like, no, it's like bang on. Like it looks exactly like, and it's because I'm seeing it with fresh eyes. So yeah, it is hard. And like, it is scary putting your artwork out there. Like
it is really one bad comment and it's just like, I'm taking it down.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm retiring. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm packing it in, lads.
It's over.
Yeah. And we haven't really spoken about the Liverpool connection. Obviously, the subject of a lot of your artwork has been Liverpool based. The club have obviously showed an interest in your work, which is unbelievable, isn't it? I think it's every Liverpool fan's dream. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was just crazy. Like I don't even think I've really just kind of registered what happened. Yeah, like I don't know, I haven't quite processed it. But so what happened was I posted my Harvey Elliott painting, and I woke up the next day and I was like kind of just scrolling through my Twitter notifications. And again, like I have my notifications off. So like I have to catch up when I go into the app. And there was one tweet from someone and it was like, oh, you know, when the club you support tweets you, but you live in Australia, so you're asleep and don't see it.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what are they talking about? And then I clicked on the tweet, scrolled up, and I saw that Liverpool had replied to my painting, and they were like, oh, nice work, Emily. And I was just like, so I kind of just lost my mind about that. And then I checked my DMs because I like usually like, you know, you just post a painting and like people will message you. So I checked my DMs and there was a DM from Liverpool and I just thought, yeah, I remember opening my DMs and just thinking, what is going on? And so the message was, you know, they were like, you know, we've seen your Harvey Elliott artwork, like it's amazing. We were just wondering if you'd be open to like doing a time lapse of your next project. And I was like, of course. Like just like say no more. Like
said, no,
yeah. Like, no. And I had wanted to paint Salah for a long time, and I was actually going to paint Salah before the Harvey Elliott painting, but then like Harvey got injured and I was like, no, like I think I should paint him. And also he was, you know, doing so well like up until like that injury. And so I just thought, okay, this is a good time to do the Salah painting. And he was also like, most people would just like message me saying like, where's Mo Salah? Where's Mo Salah? Like nothing else, like just like, where's Mo Salah? Why haven't you painted Salah yet?
I'm starting to think you shouldn't paint anyone because they get injured every time you do.
I know.
Start painting some United players.
I painted Harvey after he got injured. The Virgil van Dijk
really?
was an unfortunate coincidence.
Yeah, we can blame you for last season.
Sorry.
Carl just said, start painting some United players.
Can you do some City players first?
Yeah, actually, City.
Actually, might be working on I've actually got a Man United commission coming up, and I've been a bit anxious about it because like, sometimes I'll post like, you know, because I obviously, you know, like you mentioned, a lot of my artwork, it's mainly Liverpool, and that's because that's a club I support and they're not commissioned, so I just naturally am going to gravitate towards that. But I have wanted to like kind of expand and like paint other clubs, and commissions gives you the opportunity to do that because like you're going to get people that aren't just Liverpool fans that you know, they might want artwork. And it just so happened like so obviously like I did the Porto one, and then I did the Italy one, but I haven't done any other Premier League clubs. So I had someone reach out and they were like, really love your artwork, you know, would you be open to doing a commission of Ronaldo? And I was like, yeah, like of course, like I would love to. Like I think it's important to like kind of like keep expanding your work in that way. And like if I can reach a wider audience through painting other clubs and there's something for everyone, then it's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, also. Yeah,
I was just worried because like I'll post something saying that, like, oh, I really want to, you know, expand, and like, you know, people are just like, just no Man United paintings, please don't paint Man U. Like,
at the end of the day, it's your career though, isn't it? Really, and obviously, you know, you're earning and stuff, so you have to do what's best for you. And I've always found that sort of with my artwork, which has been mainly Liverpool based, and I just feel that, you know what, sometimes it's what's best for me and where I want to go. And, you know, anybody who appreciates you as an artist will completely understand what you're doing, and anybody who doesn't, then they're not.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought as well. Like, if people have a problem with this, like, come on, like this is my job.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have bills that I have to pay.
Exactly.
So
it's actually getting to the point with me now where like because I've been so busy with what I've been doing with these guys and with other commission work, I haven't done a new Liverpool piece in like, I don't know, it's probably like almost 6 months, and I actually feel guilty now. So I'm like, almost all of my followers follow me for Liverpool stuff. So I literally I wrote a tweet that I forgot to send today, whereas like I promise I'm going to release at least one new Liverpool piece in February, because that's why you follow me. You guys have gotten me where I am. I feel bad. So that is breaking news for this podcast. So there we go. It's interesting though, you talk about the Porto piece that you did, and I'm fairly certain that that was a piece in or for New Balance, right? That was a commission commercial piece. So can you tell us a little bit about how that came about, how that process was maybe different from like your own projects that you just do off your own back?
Yeah, so that was like right after, like maybe like a month after I quit my job. I was just checking my emails one day, and there was an email. Like one morning I had just woken up, first thing I do, check my emails, and there was an email from New Balance's PR agent, and I just looked at it and I thought, nah, this isn't real. Like, this is a scam. I was like, this is fake. Someone's messing with me. Like, New Balance does not want to work with me. So I was like literally having to look into like whether or not this person was real, because I was convinced. I was like, no, it's not.
LinkedIn and stuff.
Yeah, I was like on LinkedIn. I was like searching everything. So I mean, yeah, I had to, because I was like really worried that like it was a scam and someone was just like messing with me, but it was not. And they pretty much just said that they wanted like a painting for like one of the fixtures they had coming up against Lisbon. So I did that, and like that was, I have to say, I was terrified to do that. Like, I was so close to just being like, I can't do this. Like, there's no way. I had so many conversations with mates about it, and they were all saying like, you can do it. Like, just do it. Like, why do you think that you can't do it? And I was like, I don't know. It's just so different to what I've done. Cause like they did give me a lot of creative freedom. They kind of just wanted, they told me which players that they wanted in the piece. And then they were like, oh yeah, we kind of just want something like, you know, depicting like the dragon. And I was like, okay. I was kind of just brainstorming, and then I was like, okay, like what's like I wanted something that was like traditionally like Portuguese. So then I came up with the idea of like the Portuguese, like the artwork on like the mosaics. And then I was like, oh, I can just do something like that, but then with a dragon. And I was so worried that people would hate it. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to do it, because again, like it was kind of a totally different style. Like the players were the same style, like that was fine. I knew they wouldn't be an issue, but it was more like the background that I was just terrified I wouldn't be able to pull off. So like I was so close to not doing it. But then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? You're probably going to do it, and you're probably going to be glad that you did it. So like just imagine yourself like 2-3 weeks from now finishing it and being like, oh, like I did it and it worked out. And that's what happened. And the Porto fans, oh my God, they were so nice. Like oh my God, the comments. I had some of the nicest DMs I've ever received in my life. Like there was literally messages that were making me cry. That was so nice. Like they were just like so appreciative. They're like, thank you so much for painting our club. Like you did our club so much justice. And like they were like, honestly, like just so appreciative. It was literally probably one of my favorite moments of like when I had posted something online, because like it was also my first time painting another club. So I was kind of worried that I wouldn't really reach the audience that I needed to reach. So, but like it worked out. Twitter's amazing for that. So yeah, it was cool, because it was like I said, you know, I had been so stressed about quitting my job and whether or not it would work out. And then like a month later, I had this opportunity come about, and it was like, that was a moment where I was like, okay, like, yeah, like I can do this, like it will work out.
Good stepping stone.
I made the right choice, you know, because there are times even still now, like where I'm like, like, is this worth it? Like, should I just get a job, like go back to full-time work, or like, you know, like, why am I doing this? Is it even going to work out? Like, you know, sometimes you just get that negative voice and you're just like,
all day.
Yeah. And then I think back to how I felt working full-time, or working at a job that I, you know, that wasn't fulfilling for me. And I'm like, no, like just keep going. Like you'll be fine.
Stick at it. Yeah.
I think
advice, stick at it, and you'll get it 100%.
It's so worth it. It's so rewarding.
So I'd like to just ask you then, you know, kind of coming off the back of what you just said, for people that are looking to get, I'd say specifically into like traditional analog art, which I think is obviously becoming more and more rare. Is there anything you'd kind of just say to somebody who's having that conversation that you had, you know, when you were starting out and before you quit your job? What would you say to them now?
To just do it. Just do it. And like, if you're worried about, like, because my biggest thing was, you know, am I going to be shit at it? Am I going to be shit at it? And it's like, I look back at my first painting, it doesn't look anything like what I'm doing now. Like, you do have to start somewhere, and, you know, it's so much better to just give something a try, and then you can see what happens. And instead of like not trying it at all and then wondering like, what if I had just done this when I had wanted to do it, you know, like 2 years ago, because that's what happened to me. And like, I tried it, and now it turned out to be like the best thing I did. And not even in the sense that I get to do this as my job now, or like, you know, I've got this audience or whatever, but more because I actually found that I loved painting so much. Like, I just enjoyed it so much. And it's changed me, like, it's changed my life, like, in that way. Like, it's just, I love it. I like literally love painting so much. And you might, like, you know, not try that, and then you could try it and realize that you love it too. And like I said, YouTube is amazing. There's so many resources on there. And, you know, I also have people sometimes asking me like, how did you learn to paint? Do you have any tips? And I always send them like the links to the videos that I watch. So if anyone like needs anything with like what to watch, if you want to try traditional art, like just message me, because I'll send you everything.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, because it helped me so much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely just do it. And that goes for with anything that, like, if you're thinking of trying something, or like,
just do it. You're gonna have Nike dropping into your DMs now instead of New Balance.
Life's too short, you know.
Just
gotta try new things.
Obviously, we'll include links to Emily's website and her social media profiles in the description below this video. So if you're not already familiar with her work, although I imagine you probably are if you're watching this channel, but go and check her out, because her artwork is amazing and it's very distinct, I think, specifically in the football space at the moment. But yeah, that was fantastic. I think just to wrap up, we've got a couple of random questions that we're going to ask you that we like to do just to keep our guests on our toes. I've got one, but I don't know if one of the boys wants to go first.
I'm so scared.
Mine's not really. Mine's just a genuine question, but if yours are completely random, one of you can go first.
So before we get to Callie's serious question, whatever that might be, my other random question would be: since you said that you're coming over to the UK in May, if you could bring over one bit of Australian slang, what would it be?
God, there's so many.
You can only pick one.
Probably not appropriate.
It's fine. This is an all ages podcast. Yeah. I've been swearing nonstop.
The word.
My favorite, like,
that's getting beeped for sure.
Australians always.
It would have to be like, this is a phrase, so not so much slang, but I'm not here to spiders, which basically means like, I'm not here to around. Like, I'm not here to like mess about. Like, it's like I said, you know, when I talk about moving to the UK, I've been saying this to so many people. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not there to spiders. I'm there to work. You know, like.
That is the title of this episode.
Yeah.
I'm not here to.
I'm not here to spiders.
It's a good one.
That's really good. I've never heard that. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
I don't know who started that or how, but
I love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Come on, Mr. Serious.
No, I've got like a mini question and then a like a bit more of a thought-provoking.
It's got a second podcast.
Question. What's that mean?
The mini question is, I know you're a Joe Rogan fan. And I think you DM'd me about watching one at one time, and I seen you done a painting of him and Duncan.
Kelly knows how I feel about Joe Rogan. That's why he's brought this up.
Yeah, I try and
I know you've done a painting of him and Duncan Trussell and Elon, and I want to ask you, do you have that? Because you haven't posted it, and can I have a print of it?
I do have it. I did post it, but I did take it down because I think I offended a few people.
Oh, really?
And I understand
religious
why.
Thing.
Yeah, and I could have done better to research. I did, like, I have a few Hindu friends that I actually like reached out to, and I said, you know, like, can you maybe like ask your parents, this is my concept, like, is this offensive? But again, at this time, like, I didn't have as big of an audience, so
Didn't think
it was
gonna be
more
an
like
issue.
as other paintings were kind of going viral, like people would see that on my page and, you know, they explained that it was offensive. So I did decide to take it down because like wasn't my intention to offend anyone. And even though I thought I had done my part by like asking my friends if it was okay, like that they don't represent everyone. So yeah, I learned my lesson with that. But yeah, I do still have the painting. Joe Rogan actually like saw it.
Oh, really?
He followed me on my page and
Wow.
he messaged me to thank me.
No way.
Yeah, I've recently actually reached out to him asking if he would want the painting. And he replied and he was like, yeah, I would like it, but it's costing like, because like I mentioned before, it's so
The ship.
expensive, it's like $600 to send it. And I just can't afford to like send,
He can.
Yeah, I asked him, but then he left me on scene.
I was going to say, yeah,
Is it
as soon as you asked
Andrew?
for that, that's done. That's done.
Yeah, he left me on scene. Because I said to him, I was like, and I don't really get annoyed about things like that. I was like, whatever, it is what it is. It was worth a shot. Like, I didn't even think he'd respond to my initial one, asking him. I was like, hey, look, I did this painting of you a while ago. I'm going to be relocating soon, so I don't have space for this painting. But if you want it, you can have the painting, like have it. I'm not going to charge you for it, but if you could cover the freight, that would be great. And then he was like, yeah, I would love it. Thank you so much. Sent me his address. And then I was like, okay, like these are the dimensions. It's a massive wooden panel. It will cost this much. And I said, like, don't feel obliged to say yes, because you already said you wanted it before. And then he felt obliged to not say anything. So
I love it. So if you do have any A3 prints of it, I would
yeah,
love
I haven't
to pay
got
for
it
one.
photographed or anything, but I probably will have to just before I go away, I'll get photos taken of it. I'm really glad you love it though. Thank you.
Loved it. It was amazing. And just my final question was, this is sort of the thought-provoking one, yeah.
Because Joe Rogan is not thought-provoking. I just want to make my stance on him very clear on this episode.
You've touched a few times on when you create artwork, that time just sort of you lose track of it completely, and we all understand what that means. What outside of artwork makes you also have that feeling where time
outside of artwork, probably music, to be honest. Like, especially when I was practicing guitar and I was learning how to play guitar, like that was kind of something that I found a bit similar to art, in the sense that like you kind of get in this flow state and you
drift away.
Like, yeah, when you really get into something, or like you're really getting into a song, or like you might notice that like you like finally learned how to play a particular part of a song, and then it's so much fun and you get stuck into it and you're practicing. Definitely that. And probably like, I mean, video games are a bit different because like you're kind of distracted, but I do love video games a lot. They're definitely another escape for me. Like I find like it sounds bad, but like, whenever I'm like maybe going through something, or like something's just like, like I find like sometimes if I'm like going through something, or there's like stuff that I'm trying to like block out, and then like I'm like really stuck into a video game, and then like I finish the video game, I'm like, oh, like back to my life now. Like, it happened to me when I was playing Assassin's Creed. It was throughout lockdown, and I really wanted to play Assassin's Creed Origins. And I like platinumed it because I was like trying to get the platinum trophy, and I ended up finally getting it. And I was like so sad that I was like not going to be in like this false world anymore. It's like, okay, back to normal life, not ancient Egypt.
It's like when you finish Avatar or Ready Player One, when you finish watching them, you're like,
I recommend Spider-Man. That game's pretty awesome.
Spider-Man is so good. I haven't played the second one.
It's really the second one's really good as well.
So good. It says that. Oh, I should get it. I've been just playing Skyrim like religiously like lately. I mean, not all the time, but if I do play a game, it will be Skyrim.
Man, I haven't played Skyrim literally since Xbox 360.
Yeah, oh, I love it. I know the graphics are like quite outdated, but I love that game. Like I love the music in it. I actually listen to the soundtrack while I paint all the time. It's so relaxing.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's I think that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for coming on, Emily. It's been amazing to chat to you.
Yeah, really good.
Really, really
Thank
cool
you.
hearing about
Thank you.
everything to do with your work, and yeah, looking forward to seeing more of what you produce. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Definitely.
for
And
having
if
me.
you do come to the UK, or when you do, let me know and I'll get you the ticket for the game.
Oh my God, stop. Thank you. I will let you know. I really appreciate that. People have been
Still
so
got-
generous offering. Thank you.
Still got to get me a ticket, mate.
Your art's not as good.
Oh, whoa.
Ooh.
Okay.
Here for
Yeah.
a new member of Untitled Artwork, Emily. Would you like to join us?
I'm joking.
Sorry?
Callie's I said we're looking for a new member of Untitled Artwork because Callie's going to be off in a minute. So would you like to join us?
Oh my God. That's so funny.
Hope you liked the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. Nailed it.